What is up, everybody? It is Crazy Horse 6. This is another edition of WTF Fridays Battle Report Analysis. Sorry, it's been a couple weeks since my last one. I was out of the country for 10 days as my son was playing soccer over in the UK, or football as they call it over there. We're back, and I'm back to making videos. This one comes to us courtesy of JFT from 788. And this is from I believe, a Winter Storm battle report from someone on a much earlier server. Again, I'm blocking out names and profile pictures to not embarrass anybody. By the way, this is Full Spectrum Last War, and I'm Crazy Horse 6. So the interesting thing here, I think 2 weeks ago, I had a WTF Fridays battle report analysis where I declared that 4+1 is dead. I had a battle report 2 weeks ago where my missile squad took on another missile squad that was much stronger than mine. But the difference is they had Lucius, I had a pure missile, and I decimated that squad. The title of that WTF Fridays video was 4+1 is dead. The title of this video is Long Live 4+1. And you see the difference here is this is a missile squad, a 64.1 million missile squad attacking a 61.9 million air squad. So not only do we have the missiles countering air, we have a stronger squad, on paper at least, 64.1 versus 61.9, and the air squad comes out victorious. The difference here, again, the missile squad is a 4+1 with Lucius. The air squad is a 4+1 with Murphy replacing Carly. So let's take a look, dig into the actual numbers, and try to figure out what is happening here. From a exclusive weapons perspective, relatively even, although the advantage definitely goes to the attacker here in blue. They have all 5 of their exclusive weapons at least level 20, with 2 of them at level 30, Lucius and Tesla. And in fact, Lucius has been upgraded even further than that. Again, I'm going to keep on harping on this. Why are you adding 17 to the hit points buff before the attack buff is finalized? Or you can get to 10 on the attack to unlock the HP, but then why put an 11th one in attack? Maybe they just made a mistake and they have started investing in the HP instead. I could see where Lucius, being a defensive hero, very HP focused, it would be worth it to get that one to 50 before getting the attack to 50. But again, it just looks a little bit scattered. You can see on the right side in the red, slight disadvantage here with Murphy only being at 15 versus 20, so he's not getting that 7.5% buff increase. Come down here to gear, relatively even, slight advantage to the red side, just in terms of total mythics. And then from a hero skill perspective, pretty even, completely maxed out on the left side. JFT has a little bit left to go with his Lucius, but relatively even. If we flip over here to the army screen, you see the left side has a slight advantage in the drone levels. JFT is doing much better on tech, a little bit better on decorations. Units are relatively even. Left side has the advantage on Wall of Honor. Left side has the advantage on Overlord. Tactics cards go to JFT, and then cosmetics go, but cosmetics is a pretty low category. If we go to the drone, from a pure, just a level perspective, there is a decent advantage here, level 189 versus 176. But JFT has the advantage here with chip stars. So the additional combat boost here, the 548 versus 542, is pretty marginal. But the chip stars do actually add some additional value here, the 23 versus 19. The drone components are a complete wash. They're almost identical. So the Overlord's interesting here. The left side has actually invested a lot more skill medals into levels than JFT has. 27 versus level 28. They're a wash on the armor at both level 30. But the left side has the other 2 supplementary offensive skills at level 25 each, whereas JFT is sitting at level 14 and level 19. Those additional skill medals that were invested in those offensive skills could have actually brought the defensive skills up even higher. And we're actually going to see where that comes into play here during the video. From a tech perspective, this is the first time I've actually seen this particular decision on tech. On the left-hand side, you see they've maxed out missile mastery, great. The right side's maxed out on aircraft mastery, so kind of a wash there. What they've done, though, is they have split. They took the route that I always advise people not to take. They did an even split between tank and aircraft mastery just to unlock tactical weapon, and then immediately started dumping in all their Valor badges in a tactical weapon, and actually have 17% in tactical weapon is actually pretty decent. That means they're probably almost through the drone HP attack and defense conversion and ready to unlock the additional skill boost levels. So I'm at 6% tactical weapon and almost have the top maxed out. So at 17%, that means that they're almost done with maxing these HP defense and attack drone conversion boosts and are ready to unlock this skill star increase. So they've made decent progress here on the tactical weapon. However, they have completely neglected siege to seas and defense fortifications. In fact, their siege to seas, I believe, is probably one of the reasons why they were so weak here compared to JFT, who has a 70% in defense fortifications, has maxed out all of the HP attack and defense buffs that are provided in that particular tech tree. And if you look at the combat details here, we can actually see also the difference between their secondary hero. So remember, the secondary hero here for the left side was Lucius with only a 40% aircraft mastery. The secondary hero on the right side for JFT was Murphy with a 41% tank mastery. And when we look here, JFT has a 72% tank hero attack boost, defense boost, HP boost. Now I don't want to directly compare this to the left side's tank hero because they don't have any tank heroes, but they do have an aircraft hero that's hanging out there. So we're comparing 72% here to 52% here. So JFT was able to get a much better bonus or buff from Murphy than the left side was able to get from Lucius. We don't care about missile hero attack because they didn't have a missile hero. JFT didn't have a missile hero attack. JFT had a 4% tank damage reduction for Murphy, whereas the left side only had a 2% aircraft damage reduction for Lucius. So these decisions here to split mastery between these two to get the tactical weapon and not work on siege to seas limited the left side's attack capabilities, whereas JFT, having the defense fortifications researched to the maximum extent that it should be, actually had a much bigger advantage here from a tech perspective. And that's why you see the lopsided 11.3 million versus a 13 million. And again, this is from someone from server 445, which is 338 levels ahead of where server 788 is. That's a much longer amount of time playing, and the research just isn't as developed. And I think it's really just because of this choice to go all in on tactical weapon versus the more basic defense fortification and siege to seas. If you come down here to decorations, yeah, slight advantage of JFT, but not a huge deal. Tactics cards, again, not a huge, from a level perspective, they're actually about even, but they have, inexplicably, they have the rapid training, which is a defensive boost. And then they have another defensive boost here. JFT was split. He had one defensive card and then one attacking card. So I think it's the fact there's no attacking card here on the left side that limited that person's ability. Cosmetics, even though JFT has the advantage here, it's a pretty low impact to the actual battle. Units perspective, pretty close. And then Wall of Honor, the left side has the advantage. I think what's important here is if we come up and we look at the statistics and we look at the damage and the damage taken. So Murphy was an absolute tank. no pun intended, in this battle, absorbing more damage than any other hero on either side. And actually edging out McGregor here, who only had 19.5 million damage taken, whereas Murphy had 19.7 million damage. So Murphy is perfectly suited to countering missiles and helping air squads, because his tactics skill specifically provides a reduction to physical damage for the front row. And if we look at missile heroes, McGregor, physical damage, Adam, physical damage, Swift, physical damage, Tesla is the exception with energy damage, and then Fiona, physical damage. So if you are concerned about your aircraft heroes taking a lot of physical damage, Murphy is the ideal hero to throw in that 4+1 combination to provide a physical damage reduction for your two front heroes and help them survive longer. So as we go back and watch this last battle video, I do want to point out a couple things before y'all trying to point it out in the comment section. One is I fully recognize that this particular missile setup is specifically set up to counter tanks, right? Tanks are the natural counter to missiles. The addition of Lucius provides a significant reduction in energy damage. And when we look at what tanks primarily deal in, Kim and Stetman are both energy damage dealers. Those are the two primary damage dealers for tank squads. So having Lucius here in this setup would probably significantly help this missile squad counter an equally sized tank squad. But when it comes to a weaker aircraft squad, and this is where missiles are supposed to excel, it can't cut through it when you have Murphy added to the aircraft squad. So I don't necessarily think it's a terrible idea to have Lucius with missiles, but just keep in mind, while you are protecting yourself from tank mains, you're creating a giant liability when you face other missile squads who have who aren't as damaged by Lucius, and a huge liability when you're facing air squads, which is specifically what you put together your missile squad to counter. The other thing I want to point out is that I really do think that if this missile squad had Fiona in instead of Lucius, it probably would have defeated this air squad. Not only would it have capitalized on just another missile dealing additional damage to the aircraft, but it also would have benefited from the additional attack, HP, and defense boost by having a fifth missile hero in there. And then obviously I think that the other big piece here that shouldn't be ignored is just the difference in tech. I would be curious to see this same squad setup with an actual fully developed siege to seize up around 70 to 72% versus a 29% siege to seize, and see if that would be enough to overcome. And of course, the last piece here that I can't ignore is the tactics cards. If the left side had even a single attacking tactic card enabled versus two defensive tactics cards enabled, if that would have made a difference as well. So I don't know if any one of those three things would have been a deciding factor to create the victory, but I'm pretty sure that any two of those in combination would have easily led to the blue side defeating the red side. Anyway, that's it. Let me know if you thought I missed anything. I'm sure you will anyway. I don't know why I have to invite anybody. I do love reading the advice and the arguments in the comment sections. Like and subscribe if you want more content and you want it easier to find. It's been great talking to y'all. Crazy Horse 6 out.
Hell yeah!
And heads up, don't just make a bunch of content. Like, actually go and do something.
Be sure to like and subscribe, guys.